Jesse, now there's no point hiding from us. We know you're in there. Yeah, go ran back.
It happens every year, whether you're ready for it or not. And they don't tell you this when you sign up to become a musician. They don't tell you that it's going to come every year and that for months it's going to define your life.
Now let's not make that difficult, Jesse. We only want to talk.
I'm talking about Christmas music. Hi everyone, my name's Jesse Haugen. I'm a composer, and like about every other musician this time of year, Christmas music has absolutely defined my life recently, and I thought that I would share some of that with you today. So this year, I got to produce 3 songs on a Christmas album from Imago Dei Church called Name Above All Names. So proud of the album and the songs and how everything turned out. And there's one song in particular that I thought would be really interesting to show you guys. It's a song called Let All Mortal Flesh Keep Silence. Yes, that's a real name, and I know it sounds like a metal band, but I promise you it's a Christmas hymn, and it's a beautiful Christmas hymn, and one that was a ton of fun to work on. So let's get into what I did. All right, you can find this anywhere that you listen to music: Spotify, Apple Music, Google, YouTube. It's everywhere. So go listen to it if you want to before we run through this, or you could just watch me run through it and then be intrigued and go listen to it. Okay, so what I decided to do, because this song is sort of a song about approaching Christmas, more not it's not sad and solemn, but it's serious. It's approaching Christmas instead of, the usual kind of woohoo, yay, lights and flurries and everything. It's sort of an invitation to seriously consider Christmas and all that it entails. Thus the name Let All Mortal Flesh Keep Silence. And so I was thinking when we started this arrangement, what is the thing that sort of gets in the way of us being silent? What are the things that keep us from seriously reflecting on Christmas and all that brings? And the most obvious answer was technology. So what I decided to do is I got a collection of a bunch of samples of like old radios and vinyls, and just a bunch of other electronic things, and I started the arrangement with that. And so this is what it sounds like. Sort of all these different things. And I didn't want it to sound like one particular thing. I didn't want it to be like, oh, that's a record player, or like, oh, that's just a radio. I wanted it to be a collection of things that sounded like a sea of sort of electronic noise. And so you can see I kind of edited that and worked all those together. And it comes up, boom, silence. And right on the silence, we get into verse 1. And what I wanted to do is I didn't want to sort of abandon the technology idea. I wanted to, as the song progressed, I wanted it to open up, to sort of play out in 3 acts. And so while we're, attempting to take this seriously and sort of quiet our technology, quiet the things that distract us, it's still like we're veiled by them. And so I decided to do this sort of lo-fi kind of thing, almost like the radio is still going on. And so that's what I did with the vocals and the guitars. Here's how verse 1 sounds. Let all mortal flesh keep silence. So as you can hear, there's sort of this lo-fi and then this crackly. Fear and trembling. The way that I did that with the guitars, if you look at the guitars, is they're this tremulator, or it's a tremolo plug-in by Sound Toys that's absolutely amazing. They have this sort of like bad cable setting, and it kind of gets all crickly and weird. And so I stereo recorded my electric guitars, and then I just kind of randomly had that weird tremolo effect come in every once in a while. So if you can hear it, see, it kind of just makes each one sort of weird at different times, almost like it's a bad connection. And I thought that was an interesting idea. That's kind of doubled with these keys. And that sort of makes up the background to verse 1, and that's sort of how it goes. And then it opens up a little bit in the chorus, but it stays sort of muffled and lo-fi, and I had this vinyl sound come in that's kind of nice if you listen to this, just nice and warm. You know, vinyl crackle, because why not? Here's what the chorus sounds like.
Christ our God to earth descend.
That's kind of the vibe in the chorus, and I also did these little guitar transitions heading into the chorus here. You know, just little things that kind of help you transition.
Christ our God to.
And then this sort of key part became kind of the main motif of the song. And it's sort of doubled with other electric pianos. Labs. Gotta love Labs. Free plugins by Fitspire. Free plugins by Spitfire. Free plugins by Spitfire. They're awesome. All right. So then interlude 1, I knew that things needed to open up, because if we kind of stay there, that's not Christmas. That's not how this works. It needs to open up. It needs to get somewhere. And so as we head into the interlude 2, we up the tempo. Acoustic guitar comes in. Electric guitar comes in. We have a cello. So everything opens up a little bit. Drums. And now the lo-fi on the voice is gone.
King of kings, yet born of Mary.
So things have opened up a lot more. And like I said, I wanted this arrangement to kind of open up as we continue to go. Some sweet bass stuff. We have, listen to this bass and these drums. I just absolutely love how this turned out in the verse. This is a crazy comp of a bunch of different bass lines. But I love bass lines that are melodic, but they don't get in the way of the vocals.
Lord of lords and human.
See, they just sit right back where they need to. None of the melodies in the bass line interrupt or don't get along or don't play nicely with the vocals. It all kind of, it's like counterpoint. It all works together, which I'm a big fan of that. And then same sort of thing, we have these electric pianos again, stereo spread. Which they're just so nice. They're so warm. They bring a lot of warmth. But you can tell the arrangement's sort of sparse. There's not a ton going on. But just because of the space and things, it feels a lot more open now, a lot less muffled and controlled by the technology, but instead it's sort of opened up. And then once we had it into the third act, I knew it needed to get even bigger. Oh, dang it. I'm filming a YouTube video. So, my wife just interrupted me and asked if she could be in the video. So, she's in the video now. Okay, bye.
Go on.
I will, bye. Anyway, where were we? Okay, third act. So I knew that this needed to get even more open. I wanted this to sort of go to the heavens. We're talking about seraphim, which are basically angels here. And so as this happened, I thought of the idea of sort of having a new sound, harkening back to sort of that radio idea. And so I had this radio piano, which is it's made from a preset in Omnisphere that I sort of tweaked around with a little bit, but listen to this. It's like crackly and weird and cool and kind of sounds like it's coming from a radio. And the other thing that sort of makes this section work is basically we're going to get some really cool high, almost like Tom Yorke style vocals from Casey later on. And what I did is I took that, and this is one of my favorite things to do ever. I threw it into Omnisphere, and within Omnisphere, there's this amazing thing where you can go into a granular synth, basically, and you can like play a sample. So one of my favorite things to do is you have... if we turn granular off, I just have a full melody here. So it's just like the melody that's going to happen later, obviously, with a bunch of delay and stuff. But if we turn this on, I went in and you can automate, basically, different portions of that melody and sort of like play the melody like it's an instrument. That might sound crazy. Let me show you what I did. So I'll have you watch Omnisphere as it plays, and you can hear and see my automation. So watch this little guy. So I'm not the best at explaining how this works. I'm honestly not the best at understanding how this works. But basically the idea is that it sort of infinitely repeats a small section, and you can decide, how long or short that is. But then you can just pick a different part in the melody. So if you find notes, you can sort of play it like the melody is a synth. And so if we combine that with this radio piano, you get this, it's just such a cool effect. Put these keys in. Here's what it sounds like with everything. So we put some more of those radios back in.
At his feet the six-winged seraph.
The drummer did this amazing, he recorded these vibes that I put a bunch of delay and effects and reverb on. Kind of goes with that piano part. Also, since this is by far the least Christmassy sounding Christmas song ever, I thought I gotta put some sleigh bells in. So I did these cool sleigh bells effects things. Just so that there's at least some Christmas in here. So that kind of all builds with those sleigh bells and sends us to the end of it here. Now, if you've heard this song on the actual EP, it's quite a bit different, and that's because the mixing engineer did an amazing job really putting this in a space and giving it quite a lot of like texture and reverb and stuff, and we'll look into that a little bit at the very end, just to sort of see what he did. But I thought it's a little easier to hear each of these individual elements from my session. Also, maybe just interesting for you to see, this is the session that I would have bounced everything from and sent the engineer. This opens up again with acoustic guitar.
At his feet the six-winged seraph, cherubim asleep.
Still those vocal effects going on, so we have both the melody and the effects.
His eye veil their faces to the present, and with ceaseless voice they cry.
This is by far the biggest part of the song. And we have like a bunch of guitars here. Bass is kind of driving us. And then I did some distorted guitars. And strumming guitars. We still have acoustic. Also recorded real piano for this part. And again, I just put some effects on the real piano just to have it helps everything sort of blend together when you're doing these little like delays and reverbs and things. Also, since just a lot of the sounds in this are overly sort of affected and stylized, it was a little weird to have, something as pure and simple as a piano without anything on it. Just helps it sit and kind of live in the same world as everything else. And so that grows and builds. Kind of dies down, and then so fun. Anyway, hopefully that's interesting. It was a little bit of a rush through, but I wanted to give you guys something interesting that I did with Christmas music. Hopefully inspiring you to, Christmas. The songs, it's become a genre, which is weird. To me, Christmas songs are more about the content than about what the music sounds like. And so I get excited and inspired by the idea of Christmas music. That's sort of whatever it needs to be to best serve the song. Yeah, the lyrics and the song are sort of what put it in that Christmas world, but then everything else, it's really just, it's up to you to be creative and up to you to have fun with. But maybe just for some interest and some inspiration, Hopefully this was interesting. If you want to stick around, which I think you should, I'll show you the mix stems and what the engineer actually did with this stuff. It is amazing when you have an engineer who's actually willing to take things and do something with it. So not just take what you have and make it louder and a little more compressed, but actually do some actual mixing on it. Michael Bouska mixed this. He's amazing. So let's jump into that. You're going to want to stick around for this. Here we go. Okay, so I pulled in the mix stems that Michael was kind enough to send me from his session. So let's just listen to these and kind of hear how things were a little different than mine. Maybe I can A/B some stuff. So effects and stuff is pretty normal. When we get into the verse, you'll hear where it's much different. Listen to how much more sort of washed out and interesting it is.
Let all mortal flesh keep silence.
I just absolutely love that. I mean, listen to what he did with the vocals and the delay.
Let all mortal flesh keep silence.
I mean, that's just unbelievable. And then the guitars. And I mean, compare that to mine. So this is my guitars. I mean, they just sound lifeless in comparison. Same thing with the keys. Oh, it's just so
And trembling,
good. Going in, chorus,
Christ our God to earth.
and then interlude here. I love what he did with. He ended up stereo spreading the acoustic guitar, which I just think is so awesome. Listen to this. Oops, we have multiple things going at once. Here we go. Listen to how absolutely, I mean, this is a masterclass in bass and drums being of one mind. Just how it's mixed. Everything's so together. Listen to this. Put some saturation on the bass too. I've never noticed that. That's awesome. It's just so fast. I cannot stress enough how important it is to get stuff mixed. Okay, so let's head in now to that interlude where kind of things get interesting. I love the way that he sort of, again, just took everything that I did and just made it bigger and more interesting. The sleigh bells. It's so cool. It's like, what are you hearing? You know, there's so many interesting things going on, but there's that guiding chord progression and sort of keyboard riff that keeps this all together. And then when we get to that huge explosion, I mean, it's just so much bigger after the mix. These guitars. Love it. My favorite was how well he did. He sort of like got rid of all the delays and reverbs and stuff as we head into the outro. Watch this. This is just that keys note that kind of, I absolutely loved it. It's so cool. And so that, I mean, yeah, hopefully that's even another layer of interest just to show how, you know, you spend a lot of time on an arrangement and being really specific with the production and trying to be creative, and then how a mix can just take it and just elevate it that next level. But anyway, there you go. The least Christmassy sounding Christmas song ever, but something that I'm really proud of, that I hope is really inspiring for you and gives you maybe some inspiration and just some ideas for freedom on how to make some Christmas music that doesn't necessarily sound like mall Christmas music. So anyway, you guys are awesome. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. So thankful to have you watching. Thanks for staying to the end. I hope that was interesting. If you have any thoughts or want to talk about the production and all, go ahead and just leave it in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Got a bunch of stuff planned for the new year that I think is going to be really awesome. But I'll see you guys next time. I'm going to go crawl back into my cave now because Christmas music is almost over, but I'm going to keep trying to hide from it. Okay, bye.